I'm going to do, I'm going to introduce myself to you and give you guys a little bit of background on me. My name is Paul Brown, and since February of this year, I've been working for the national headquarters of the membership division. I'm originally from a post in San Luis Obispo, California, post 66, and where I had the opportunity to do things both at a post level and a district level to increase membership in there, and also had the opportunity to train a lot of other districts in California on alternative methods that work, which I think helped lead to why I started working national. But probably the biggest reason that I'm at national is because I'm a warrior. Okay, that's it? Okay, I don't think I caught your attention. I said I'm a warrior. I'm back in the ring, go! Kimo! Huri! Ah, tenga, ikara fiua, potama, potoma. Ah, tenga, ikara fiua, potoma, potama, potama, I.
You do, and you're going to clean it up.
Kamate, kamate, kora, kora, kamate, kamate, kora, kora. Ana opane, ana topane, ana opane, topane, fititida. Ah. Okay. Well, thank you. Right there, thank you. That was a little demonstration. I took the Scottish claymore sword of my ancestors, combined it with a Maori haka, and at least I caught your attention, right? Okay. Well, why did I choose to come to the American Legion headquarters and be a warrior? I'll tell you. I know you're going, well, I don't know. That was pretty crazy what he just did. I'm sure there's a crazy other reason he needed to share. The reason I'm there is because I believe in my heart in the potential of the American Legion. I look back at our last 100 years, and I'm inspired to think about what we can accomplish for our veterans in the next 100. And that is why I want to be a warrior for the American Legion. And it's my job here to inspire you to do the same. What? Okay, and for all you Navy people, whatever you guys say. Okay. Let me go ahead and click the next slide, because that would be good. Okay. Who here is a warrior? But raise your hands. Okay. And what makes someone a warrior? Well, I just put this up here just to kind of get to this part kind of quickly. In my opinion, warrior is someone who is determined to meet a challenge head on, capable of creating a solution through whatever means necessary, even standing here and looking like a fool with a sword. Disciplined enough to modify to role and adapt to training, and mighty whether alone or on a team. What does that sound like that we have all in common? Anyone? Anyone? Where did we all learn this?
Army.
Well, basic training. I don't think it matters where you served. You learned how to be a warrior in some capacity. Even the Air Force people, Dave, stop it. But the thing is, did they hand me one of these when I showed up? No. Why? Because while in its day was a very effective tool, okay, for all the Wallaces and the Campbells and everybody else, but when I served, the M16 was much more effective, right? Okay? And I'll tell you what, my M16 didn't look like the guys next to me, and his didn't look like the guys next to him, because over time we learned how to modify our tools to get the job done the way we knew we needed to get it done, right? Okay. So I like this thing. Weapons change, warriors don't. So with your permission, I'm going to put this down before I cut my leg off, okay? And what we're talking about today is the fact that we all here are warriors, but rather than in direct service with the military, we chose, and because you're sitting here today, you've taken on the commitment to serve the American Legion in some capacity or another. You want to take that warrior ethos that you learned while you were serving and apply it to this organization, because I think, like me, you believe in this organization. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to talk about some stuff that's available now. If I can get some people to pass out some stuff for me, please. This is double-sided here. Take the card too, pass out at the same time, might as well. Thank you. Okay, well, what they're passing out now is the fact that available right now on mylegion.org are pre-written recruitment letters to active members of your department headquarters post. How many of you know that this is available for you as your post level to access? Okay. There's another thing that's available that you may not be aware of. Real-time project stay active information. And by the way, can I get, Jill, can I get one of those sheets just so I can understand how you did that now? Okay. This right here is a by the numbers way of going about doing this. Okay, and rather than going by the numbers, and it's so late in the day, and we have a lot of things we need to do today, can I get someone here who has access to their post mylegion.org porthole to come up and assist me? Can I get a volunteer? Okay. How about way in the back? Do you feel comfortable? Even if I yell at you? Okay, come on. I like this guy. Okay. Now, Bill, I do not have more cards. I only have 35. If all of you have Dave Elmore's card, just replace P. Brown on the address, and it'll come to me instead of Dave, instead of D. Elmore. If you, Bill, can we send him up so we can get him internet access? Okay. And you'll be sitting in that chair. You sure you feel comfortable with this? What's your name?
Whatever. My name's Alan.
Alan? What's your last name?
Hyatt.
Hyatt? Alan Hyatt, thank you very much for being a victim, volunteer in this example. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. The reason why this was developed was because a lot of people have the fire in their belly to help assist with membership in their posts, but they may not have the technical skill to understand how to download a comma-separated value field and put it into Excel, separate out the fields that you need, and this and that and the other, and blah, blah, blah. Then there's the whole concept of writing a letter that actually motivates people. And by the way, I need to be honest with you about something. I have failed more times at creating programs for the American Legion than I have been successful, okay? But let me tell you this. That's what separates people who are successful from people who are not, is because you look at what didn't work, you evaluate, and you fix it, and you drive on. You don't give up and go, well, we can never do this, and move forward, right? First time my post, I found that there's 300 people on the find members of my area list near my post. And I went, wow, I'm going to get all those people to join, and I'm going to be a hero, because we're going to be 300 more people strong, and of course they're going to join because we're great. We're great. Post C6, San Luis Obispo, California, we're awesome. Everyone wants to join us. So I sent out 300 letters out, and they were all the same letter. Guess how many responses I got back? Three. You've heard this before, haven't you? Okay. Okay. I got 3 back. At that point, is it worth mailing to 300 people to get 3 people back? Yes and no. Okay, it's all how you look at it. But wouldn't it be better if you got like a 30% response rate? Okay. What I'm going to show you how to do today is get a 30% response rate. And I used to be involved in politics. I know this weekend's not a good weekend to bring that up. But
We've already voted.
Here's the thing. I forgot when I put this together is that the more steps you put on a person, the less likely they are to come up with the result that you want. The easier you make it for a person to do what you want them to do, the more likely you are to get the desired result. Okay? In my letter, I said, hey, call me, email me, carrier pigeon us, whatever. Just get in contact with us. And they looked at that and said, yep. Okay? Now, can you click on post district and just log into your thing? But once and there's about 7 other variations before I finally came upon a theme that creates about a 30% result, meaning that for every 10 letters you send out, and I don't care how many times you do it, you're going to get at least 3 people responding. So that means out of 100, you're going to get 30, okay? And you're like, I don't know, Paul, we've tried that before and it doesn't really work, and this, that, and the other. And there was a comment earlier, I think, from V that basically says, what is National doing about giving us tools? Okay? What is National doing? So when I showed up working at National, I said, you know what? Yes, it is possible for people to take this information down. Yes, it is possible for them to develop their own letter, but are our members likely to do it? Therefore, the reason we're not getting the result we want is because we're making it too challenging for the average member to do. We need to put it in a concise form that everybody can win with. Not only the people at the post level who are trying to do the work, but also the member that you're reaching out to. Make it easy for them, right? Okay. Now, can you go to reports? And what does it say? Who can tell me next what the next step is there? So, okay, he said hit reports label, so go do that. Okay, what's the next step?
Post reports.
Hit post reports. Okay, from somebody else, what's the next step? What do you need to select next?
Zip codes.
Nope. We're right below post reports, there's another line that says select. What's that?
Projects may active by area.
No, look at, right now we're doing HQ transfer invitations. I'm sorry about that.
Letters HQ transfer.
So he's saying click on letters HQ transfer invitations. Okay. Now, can you do me a favor and can you click on the first box there that says select post from drop down. Yep. And select your post. Oh,
Okay. Target transfer post.
yeah, let's do that first. I'm sorry. Okay, and select your post, San Antonio. Okay. Now, go back to the zip code thing and click on the zip codes that you consider to be in your sphere of influence. It might not be the zip code of your town, but say if there is another post for 20 miles, then probably all the zip codes within kind of 10 miles away, or maybe it goes to a river, or you know your landmarks better than I do. Select the zip codes and just like that's for the sake of what we're doing, let's just do that. Was that? No, that's fine. That's perfect. Now, you're also going to double check, and you are going to, right over here, you're going to double check that the address is correct. That's where you want them to be mailing it to. And by the way, this is autofilled for you. That this information is correct, and maybe, for example, that you don't want the commander to be the point of contact. Maybe it's the membership director. Maybe it's the first vice commander. You can type that in there, first vice commander. And instead of Arturo Escobar, you can put Alan's name in there. Okay? And over here, if this email, you want to go a different email, type the different email in. Now, click on right there, that little drop down. Yep. Okay. Do not select all. Do you have an auxiliary at your unit? Or sorry, at your post?
Yes.
Okay, please click that box. Do you have writers at your post? Click that box. Do you have a squadron at your? Okay, so this is a perfect example then. Now, for all that of all three, you would think, my goodness, Paul, it'd be simpler to just hit all and be done, right? Well, right now there's a glitch in the system, I have to be honest with you, in that it also selects none, which means that sentence would disappear. And what we tried to do with this thing is select an opportunity for you to talk a little bit more about your post in a little more detail without making it a two-page letter, and it's basically giving, without going into the detail about all the programs in your post, just going about the major family programs that you might have at your post. Now, okay, that's good. Click out of there, just anywhere. Okay, now go to View Report. And it's loading, and it's loading, and it's loading, right? And it's still loading, and I hope it loads. There we go. Now, do me a favor, over here, right here, can you click on that, please? Yep. Okay. It has a letter now that is formulated, and it's made out all the 22 letters addressed to the person, and there's 22 people who are on the active in their dues on your department headquarters list that are living in those zip codes around where you are. And very, very quickly, can you pan down a little bit here? Yeah, click, there you click, yeah, no, down. Oh, a little bit up. Oh, actually, that's good. Now, basically, the letter says, hey, you've already taken the first step to be a member of the Legion, which is the most vital veteran service organization in the country. Right now, we are asking you to take the next step of involvement and get involved with your local post. And it says, a line in there says, we have auxiliary and we have riders in our post. And then down here it says, basically, we're like a family, like all families. We see all levels of involvement from our members. Some attend all of our functions, while others pick and choose their involvement because of commitments to other activities or personal family responsibilities. Some of our members can only commit to paying their annual dues, regardless of your level of activity. Together, our members create the strength necessary to further our commitment in supporting our community and our fellow service members. Okay, can anyone tell me why that thing is in there about, hey, you can just, can I get I need the microphone. Yeah.
Because you will have a member like Mr. Jack Lemon, who lives on 1919 Park Street in Greenville, Texas, who has been a 345 member, which is our ghost post in Texas, and does not want to have anything to do with the local post, but wants to continue to be a member of the American Legion.
Right. And maybe he doesn't, maybe they don't want to be scared that, well, if I join, I'll have to go to too many activities and I don't want to. You're basically saying, hey, look, don't be scared. We'll take care of you. Okay? Now, at the bottom here, you notice that it has the commander's information right now. And it has a place for them to sign that says, please transfer my membership to Post 2 San Antonio. And it says here, current information on file, please write any changes, additions, and mail to the address listed below. Now, here, we got fortunate, and all of this member's information is complete. How often does that happen? Never, right? But there's blanks. There'll be blanks there. Like if they're missing a telephone number, there'll be a blank. And I would advise to you, if you're sending this out, take a highlighter and just highlight it. That way they can see it easier. Because, you know, if you do the thinking for someone, they're going to give you what they want, what you want. Okay, can we pan down this a little bit more? Okay. The last thing on the bottom is their address. Now, the unique thing that's great about this is that it allows you to fold it and put it in a window envelope, and you don't even have to print out labels. So you can get the ID on Thursday, and by Friday afternoon, this stuff could be out in the mail. Okay? And that's what we're trying to do at Nationals, give you the tools so that you, without thinking too much about it, can produce a product. Right? Wait for the mic. Alan, thank you for your help, by the way.
Hello.
Wait, there it is.
Now we're on the air. Okay, first of all, is this letter editable?
Yes, it is.
Can you edit? Because we have a problem. We want to get the DD-214s. But
Okay.
the body of this letter just says, all you got to do is sign and,
Well, not necessarily. Here's the thing. I'll answer your question.
okay. But anyway,
Let me. I swear I will. You have to trust me on this.
go ahead.
Okay. You need to, like any other person transferring your post from another post, or any one person coming in new, you need to vet that person according to the same way that you vet every other person coming into your post. Okay? But I would say this to you. I think you're going to have a lot. Right now, we found that you have less than a 3% people who aren't eligible on the DMS list. Is it 1%? Is less than 1%. You're probably going to have a higher percentage of people walking into your post who aren't eligible than whatever. So what I would advise you to do to make it simple, because we're trying to make it simple, have them send it in, and when they send it in, call them up and go, I'm so glad you transferred this, that, and the other. Hey, we're having an orientation meeting a month from now. Can you come by? When you come by, can you bring your DD-214 so we can verify your eligibility to service? Because if you put the step in there that they need to mail it in with this, chances are they're going to put it up on their desk and they're not going to mail it in. I know that doesn't resolve your issue,
No, it doesn't.
but you still have a way to get their DD-214. And you don't have to say this person's in our post until he's vetted. He's just signing his intent to join your post.
On that, is the DD-214 the only way to prove eligibility? No. Can we maintain DD-214s at the post? Yes. If you do what? You got to follow the PII responsibilities, double lock and key, that whole 9 yards. And if the IRS ever pops up and does an audit on you and you don't have that, be prepared for a whooping. That's the big thing. But a lot of people get locked in on that DD 214, but your active duty service members don't even have that. The active duty guard doesn't have that. They have a DD 214, but does not have a character of discharge on it. So it's not just the DD 214 that you got to look after.
Okay, I'm going to move on from DD 214 because otherwise we're going to have a workshop on DD 214. You guys need to handle vetting the people coming to your post the same way you do any other avenue of their membership coming in. Is that? Am I getting any north and south on that? Okay. Now, so right now, the only group that you can access with this letter is the administrative post for your department active list. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, do you want to click out of here, Alan? Okay, let's turn the page over so it says project stay active. Yes?
Will that letter generate every post?
I'm sorry, go ahead. There's still part of your question I need to answer, but go ahead.
Will this letter generate multiple posts that fall in that category?
Multiple posts?
Right, we have 3 posts.
You know, it's funny you bring that up because later in this explanation, we will cover that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, you asked about modifying it. Okay. Before you print it, you're going to have to export it to either PDF or Word. If you export it to Word, you can do a search and replace option, which will take out the words you don't want and replace it with words you do. So if you are like, your post like, dang it, we really need that DD 214, then add that to a sentence in there, and it will say, and send in a copy of your DD 214. You can modify that, and we'll print it out, and it will go through the entire document, all 22 pages there, and print it out so you don't have to cut and paste each single one. Is everyone kind of getting that? I know that's a little kind of a tricky trick, but it's called search and replace, or find and replace. Find and replace, thank you. Okay, now moving on to project, is there any more questions on the letter? Okay, Greg?
Barbara Aguirre, I'm from Arkansas. I'm a little concerned about the letter. I'm a retired postal worker, and I'll tell you right now, if you'll change the letter into a postcard, I guarantee you a lot better results, because I worked in bulk mail, and the first thing people do with postcards is that they pick it up and they turn it over. Everybody, doesn't matter what it is. Every time, every person I've ever seen pick up a batch of mail, when they look at a piece of mail, if it's first class, they put it over here. If it's bulk mail, they put it over, standard mail, they put it over here. That gets open last.
Outstanding. If you get better than 30% results, please let me know, and we'll incorporate that as well.
I did.
Okay.
Am I on? Okay, couple of things real quick. I've done both of these things that you're teaching right now already. I sent out 88 of the transfer letters to our 345s in our area. I've already got 25 back transferring into my post. I had 5 of the people that have moved into my area on the list already, and I sent those letters out as well, and I've got 2 back. So I don't know the stats on that. You can do the math, but my numbers are already looking pretty good.
I'd have to look at your letter. I'd have to look at a lot of other things. Again,
I haven't got all the letters back.
Okay.
I'm still getting them in.
Good.
So I think I'm going to be within your 30% rate.
Nice.
So I'm already getting close to those numbers. As far as the bulk mail, I put a stamp on it. It wasn't sent out as bulk.
Right.
So that addresses that a little bit.
Yep.
And I found this, I did modify the letter slightly.
Okay.
Our dues are a little bit cheaper than department. And I highlighted that in my letter.
That's probably smart.
And told them, hey, we can save you a couple of bucks. So I've utilized both of these programs already, and I find that they're working excellently.
Good. And just about the postcard doesn't allow the opportunity to put their information, have them verify the information so that you can update it in your records. And one thing that you need to do is to transfer someone, it still needs to be, we'll get you in 1 second, sir. It still needs to be on a member data form. So what you need to do is you need to hand fill this information in on an MDF form, which is, for those of you who aren't deadly familiar with it, looks like this, okay? Now, right here at the bottom where it says signature, what you need to do is you say, see attached, and you staple that letter with their signature to this. Because this is the only, due to resolution, this is the only document that can transfer a person at this point. Does that make sense? Okay, question in the back.
Yeah, we went to postcards last year, got a very good return on them. It also reduced our outlay for postage and supplies and that to do that kind of thing. So it was only about 25 or 30%, but at today's, I'll take that for my post.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. If what you're doing works, great. I'm not here to tell you you're wrong. I'm here to give you tools. So if what you're doing isn't working, let's be aggressive and try new tools. Yes.
John Hafter, 20 District, Texas.
Yep.
Quick question. So on the return mail, are you sending like self-addressed stamped envelopes with it? Or?
I'll go over this more later with the other thing. I did not include a stamp on the return because I figured they had to at least commit to a stamp, and that would just double the cost of the mailing. And that's my own personal opinion, that I think someone has to at least commit to a stamp. Otherwise, they're probably not likely to pay you their dues next year. But that's probably just me thinking in my own head. Okay, before we move on, because we have a lot to cover today, I guarantee we do. Is there any quick questions regarding the mail to headquarters active people? Okay. Can you go to Project Stay Active, please, Alan? Okay. Can you pick the zip code where your post is located at? Can you pick a distance? Let's drop it down to maybe 10 miles, because I think San Antonio is going to have a lot more than your post out, and I don't even want to pick on a post. So I'm in Texas because I don't know them well enough. Okay, and go over to days back, because this is the first time you've been doing it. Let's say 30. Let's go back 45, and 45 is the maximum you can go back. Now, with that in mind, and it says so on the page, what do you need to be doing then with this tool? If you can only go back every 45 days, there's a suggestion here from the front that you need to be doing about once a month, which is the purpose of it, is you want these people to stay active. View report, please. And just like before, where it says, where it said, here, can you just go down to the bottom of the page there? Okay. It says there are 23 people. And if you notice on the side here, what are you seeing a lot of? 2016, 2017. Okay, that's the last page. So a lot of these people are active now. So, is this going to help you this year for your numbers? No. But why would it be good to pursue them anyway? The suggestion from the front said is that you're building up your bank for next year. And not only that, but you're making sure that person feels comfortable. And they may not want to transfer. Maybe they have a lot of loyalty to their old post. Like, I'm still a member of Post 66 in California, even though I live in Indianapolis right now. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that I don't go and associate with other posts and go to their this and go to their that and have friends there and part of that. And I help out with their fundraisers and everything else with posts that are around Indianapolis. You still could get an active member, even if he's not a dues-paying member of your post. And he could help, and that's another volunteer that you have to help out with your different programs, everything else like that. How I would approach this is, now we don't have a way to write them a letter at this point yet, but you write them a letter that says, hey, we noticed that you moved into our area and just want to make you aware of where we're at and want to invite you down for such and such activity, because we want to be welcome and make Post 2 in San Antonio, you're home for the American Legion here in San Antonio now that you live here. Okay? Chances are they're going to, if you're welcoming enough, they're probably going to transfer. Does that make sense? But if you don't try, it's not going to happen. How many of you get those slips of paper and you feel like it's showing up about 9 months, 12 months too late? Like it just feels like the information's outdated. This is a way to get it every month in time. Okay, it's a tool. It's up to you to use it. Okay? And you've had success with it so far? Outstanding. Okay. We're going to put this to the side for a second here. And I'm a big fan of the fact that we kind of need to do what we say if we're going to make a difference in the American Legion. Like, how many of you have seen like nice glossy things like this that talk about all the cool things that we do in the Post and we're part of our community and everything else like that? You guys have seen? We do a great job. Marketing does a great job at National of producing a product that represents our organization well and getting across the concept of the 4 pillars and our different programs. Am I correct with that? But if we're putting this information out on the internet and we're putting this out here, we're sending people mail this and they show up to a post and we're not doing these things, it's kind of like we're putting all the money on, we're making one part of a 3-legged stool longer without taking care of the other 2 legs, right? We're just making something kind of wobbly and not something that people can buy into. We have to make sure that our posts are kind of matching what we say we're doing if we're going to actually reach the people that we're marketing toward. Okay. At this point, I'm going to get out of here. Alan, everyone give it for Alan. Thank you very much for his time and his password. And if you could get someone could get the. How are we doing so far? We're doing okay? We're in a little north and south? I cut you off a little bit, huh? You'll get even with me later, I'm sure. Okay, good. Okay. Okay, so we're here. That's good. Okay, so coming soon. Okay, I told you what was there now, right? And I kind of got to advance on myself, so I'm going to go back a little bit. Coming soon is we're going to have pre-written recruitment letters to expired members of your department headquarters post. Because what I found is that when you're writing letters, different groups of people need different letters. You can't write the same letter to someone who's active to someone who's expired a couple years and expect the same result. You can't write the same letter to someone who's expired from your own post who might be expired from another post outside the area who's moved in the area. You have to have a different message because you're going to have to two-step to get that person who's expired from your post to go back in because he knows what you smell like. Okay, and you're going to have to do some convincing, right? Like you're either going to talk about the fact that you've got a new swimming pool, or there's new leadership, or you're doing programs that you never thought about doing before, and it's all great. Okay. There's also going to be pre-written recruitment letters to expired members of other posts living in your area. So what it is it's going to automatically pull those people who are not part of the headquarters post, haven't been members of your post, and it's going to have a letter that's going to be written toward the people who are expired, who are living in those zip codes, but were previously in other posts. Does that, everyone getting, we're thumbs up? North, south, not east, west? Okay. No, and here's the final one. This is the hardest, by the way. This group is the hardest group to change. Hardest. This is, I've always, no matter what I've done, I've always gotten the lowest percentage from going after this group because it's a tough sell, and it takes a lot more personal contact, and it takes people who know that person to crowbar them usually. But pre-written recruitment letters to expired members of your own post is coming soon. Okay. Now, let's talk about National's headquarters role in membership recruitment and retention. I told you that we make these things, and they're very pretty. Can someone else tell me what do you think our role is at National headquarters in regards to recruitment and retention? Can someone get a microphone because I want this going?
Provide the tools that the post need to reach out to the members.
Kind of like what V was saying about give us some tools that we can move forward so that we don't have to recreate the wheel each and every time. Is that okay? CV, I'm listening, huh? Who? Okay. So, don't make me do the haka again. I don't think I have energy for it. Is there anyone else? What else is our role? Yeah. Somebody? I want at least one other person, because if I don't have a role in membership recruitment, then I should just go back to California, right? Okay. Because I want a job. Tell me what my job needs to be.
I'll be the guinea pig.
Okay.
One of the things, going back to all of the letters that headquarters is doing, but have you thought of a letter that we could send out to zip codes? Particularly in our area, in our district, there's 47 posts, and then we have areas that don't have posts that need posts.
It's funny that you say that because the rest of this 3 hours will be on that topic. Okay.
That's what we're looking for. Something that we can
Call me
say,
the tool man.
Would you be interested?
Okay. Yes.
What about making incentives for members to get out and do the actual recruiting?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, did you guys look at this thing while I was in the bathroom? Because here's what I wrote down. Okay. First of all, let's provide user-friendly tools to facilitate action. Provide incentives to all levels of the organization for recruitment and retention. And I don't know if you guys know this, but here, reach out to potential eligible members. You notice I said potential, not guaranteed, potential, through direct mail solicitation or DMS. Does anyone here know how much the national organization spends in sending out to people who might be eligible to encourage them to join to the Legion? Well, okay, we'll talk about that in a second, but throw your hand up and just say a number, and I'll just tell you what. Yes, sir. $1.1 million. It's more. Who else? Okay, we're going to cut to it. $6 million a year. Okay. Now, I'm just going to say this. If this organization at that level is spending $6 million a year, it is imperative, or maybe I should be softer, it would behoove, right? The department level, the area, the district, our parish, and the local post level to take advantage of this expenditure. And if you're not taking advantage of this expenditure, we're not taking advantage of that money being spent because statistically, about half as many members on the DMS list renew as are in a post. About 85% of people in a post renew. That means 15% are not renewing because of the 3 M's, mortality, moving, or they're mad. Okay? Everything kind of fits into that thing. Which means that most posts, if you want to grow, you need to be aggressive about finding a way to increase your membership by 20% every year just to increase by 5. Is that you picking up what I'm putting down? Okay. Because if you do nothing for membership, you will drop 15% every year. And most likely, if you're doing nothing for membership, and when I say membership, I'm not talking about just renewals, I'm talking about your members, you're probably going to drop further than that. If you're not looking after your members, you're going to keep dropping further than that 15%. Okay. But you guys that's our role. What I'm here to talk today about giving you some tools that are not available now without a lot of national support, but are eventually going to be available online for you as district and department level to access and create success for district-wide mailings and this and that and the other. Okay. Okay. District-wide post-election information sheets. Oh, here we go. If I can get you guys to pass out, here, let me give you these 2 are at it. And on this side, thank you, Jill. Okay. Kind of ignore the white page for now and focus on the yellow page and just kind of read it and absorb it. If you're getting the page that has all the posts listed on the side and you're going, what the heebie-jeebie is this? Flip it over. There's an explanation on the back. So I kind of wanted to take a couple minutes and have you guys kind of absorb it, and then we're going to start talking about it, and we're going to talk about how this came about, and we're also going to talk about how some byproducts that have come off of this that can be used even outside of recruitment and retention as far as direct mailings. Okay. Okay. This came about Because when I moved back to Indianapolis, I'm like, hey, this system really worked really well, and I used to do it post by post in my district. But in my district was over 3 counties, and most of the posts were about 20 miles away from each other, so it was really easy to go, okay, someone who lives here is most likely to want to belong to this post. And that was really easy. And some of y'all are from places where that's true, okay? But especially in metropolitan areas where we have found that it is very hard for us to recruit and transfer people to the American Legion. For example, in the 11th district in Indianapolis, there are 23 posts in a 10-mile radius. Okay? Some of them are what we call paper posts, right? Where basically they don't meet on a regular basis. Thank you. They don't meet on a regular basis, and they just kind of turn in their dues if the adjutant remembers to do it. I mean, you know, I'm not talking about posts without a building. I'm talking about legitimate paper posts where you can't get them to show up to district meetings. They're not involved in their community. They're not engaged. We all have them, right? Raise your hand if you got a paper post in your district. Okay, no shame. Okay. Now, the problem is how do we describe these different posts so that a member can make a decision and choose their level of involvement and choose a post that fits for them? Because we wanted them to choose a post that was going to be a good fit, that they're going to be there for 20 years, not walk in and go, oh, they have smoking here, and walk back out and never come back in again. Or maybe there's someone who is a recovering alcoholic, doesn't need to be around alcohol, steps in, sees the bar, and sees the whole focus of the entire place seems to be about the bar. He's going to go, no, that's not for me, and not come back. So, if you look on the back, if everyone can turn the page where it says American Legion Post Description Legend, and we wanted people to read this part of it first, where it said, the strength of our organization, our ability to support our fellow veterans depends on the engagement and involvement of members like you. Use the information in the listing to choose the post that best fits you based on meeting location, mission, and available programs and activity level. Remember, posts with a specialized mission or focus may not reflect an activity level as high as traditional posts because of their structure, but may still be a good fit because of their unique nature. Okay, for example, we got university posts, right? Are university posts likely to have a Legion Riders? No. Are they likely to have an auxiliary? Are they likely to have a squadron? Okay. So, as you'll see later, right away, that's going to be a huge ding in their ability to have a 5-star rating. But it doesn't mean that they're not fulfilling their role as a veteran service organization for the community that they're serving. And it doesn't mean that their mission isn't very valuable. And it may be that someone who might not be in school anymore, but understands that mission, is very committed to seeing the fact that maybe younger veterans or veterans who are older who are going back to school or supported may want to join that post just because they understand that mission, and maybe then that post doesn't have to recreate itself every 2 years as people graduate. Is that is a way to spell things out? Okay. We put the name of the post, and if it was named other than for geography, we put down who it was named after and kind of why, just kind of a little blurb, not a lot. Put down where they met, and if some of the posts end up meeting at other post locations, they need to know that. If they have auxiliary sons riders, there's the little word sitting there. If they don't have it, if you look on the back on this side, that area is subdued with a cross through it, so people don't think that it's there. When I say cross, I mean an X. Excuse me. This little symbol here stands for a building, which means that there is a post home that they maintain, either because they rent that facility or they own it. Okay? The dues are there, the telephone. If they have a website, the website's listed. If they have a Facebook page, the Facebook page is listed. And there's a little cocktail glass if they have a lounge, and there's a little cigar there if they allow smoking. So that basically, and the reason why is because it's really hard on one page. Like this is only 16 posts here. Imagine how it is for a 23 post district to put all that information on one page in a way that's easy for people to read. Does that make sense? Okay. Let me see where we're at here. Okay. Now, looking at this thing, other than purely from a marketing to get members to transfer to the post, what additional value could be gained from using this sheet and or its purposes? By the way, there's 3 departments in the nation that are already using this, but they're not using it for membership. I want to see if we're picking up what could be valuable about this. Yes, hold on, let's get the mic.
Ricky Griffin, state of Louisiana.
Okay.
For renting the post for activities at the post. Like,
And what could also that be valuable for? Could that be valuable also for people at department level? So when people call the department, they can kind of have a cheat sheet?
exactly.
Okay. Is there anyone else?
That when the post gets a member that's more suited towards him or her, they're more likely to stay.
Right. Yes, that's true. You got it in the back?
One thing I find interesting is it would kind of indicate when people fill it out how many preferences they are for posts that have club rooms or allow smoking or not.
You're right, because that's becoming more and more of an issue, isn't it? And especially for what we call those younger veterans, okay? Even if they smoke, they don't want to necessarily bring around their kids around places where smoke is there. And it's becoming more and more of a political issue for a lot of posts. Now, how do you think I got this rating, these ratings here? Okay, on the back sheet, okay, first of all, they got half a star for auxiliary, sons, and riders. Boom, boom, boom. The reason why was a thought, if they have the strength to maintain logistically those programs and the association with the auxiliary, that there was enough going on there as far as leadership-wise and activity-wise to warrant a half a star. Okay. This next one, number 4, was the most controversial, okay, with people. And especially people who don't have a physical post are like, well, I get 4.5, but I can't get 5. And the reason behind it is because with the amount of fiduciary responsibility involved with maintaining a physical post and also the presence in the community, having your sign up and maintaining it in a way that's productive in the community, that's worth half a star. Because without it, you don't really have a place that people can drive by and go, that's American Legion. It also gives you a place as a physical focus for your events and for your programs. Okay? Now, by the way, let me put out, if you're a department or you guys go, well, I don't like these 10 criteria, I think it'd be better to do this, and you come up with something different, do you see the look of concern on my face? No, I just want you to, it's a tool, use it. Does that make sense? Like for example, if you're doing a district and none of you have a post building, probably isn't a criteria that's going to be important for that district, right? Okay. Now, and I got the next stuff almost verbatim out of this thing that says, this is the American Legion. And in there it says that we're here for veterans, we're here for America's youth, we're here for defense, we're here for Americanism, and we're here for the community. All right? Which is loosely based on the 4 pillars, but that's what we're messaging, right? So, participation in American Legion activities above the post level. Greg Akers. Why is that important? And because you've done a study on this in Alabama, haven't you? Yes. Can you respond?
Repeat the question because I was running from
Is
Dave.
participation in Legion activities above the post level? Basically, like if they're attending, someone from the post is attending district meetings, someone from the post is involved on a committee at the department, whatever it is, or you're sending people to our students who compete in oratorical up to district. You got it?
Got it. We just currently completed a study in the Department of Alabama of posts that are 20 members and below, which they're within the deadly range. If you drop below 15 in our department, you get your charter suspended. We have 86 posts in Alabama out of 172 that fall in that range. So it's like, well, what's causing that? So we started looking. I pull all the sign-in sheets for the last 3 years of all the conventions and conferences. Out of 86 of those posts, 76 of them hadn't attended a conference or convention in 3 years. So it shows if they're not coming and getting the tools, the knowledge, the motivation to do right, they're going to plummet. And when I told Paul that, he about fell out of the chair, and he had a broken foot already, so I didn't want to do more damage to him.
Thanks, Greg, I think. Also, another half star is there for having active veteran support programs. Basically, if you are out there supporting stand-downs, if you are out there supporting veterans in your community in need and their families, you get to have a star. It doesn't have to be a great program. It has, are you involved? You have a question?
All this information has been received off the CPR? Is that how you got
No. And I'll go over that in just
Okay.
a second. I will cover it. Because a lot of this, before we even kind of got the information, we had to kind of figure out what information we were getting. And I think, what is the response rate for CPRs right now? Is it 40? Dave, you probably know this number better.
Nationally, it's 67%, but there's specific departments here that are well below 50%.
Right. So that is the difficulty with pulling things from the CPR, especially the least active posts, probably the ones least likely to be submitting their CPRs. So ideally, down the road, that would be a great tie-in. We're not there yet. Okay. Active youth support programs. Now, a lot of our youth support programs fall under the umbrella of Americanism, but to make it, rather than having to explain to each of the posts as we're getting this information, basically, do you have programs that support the youth in your community? Yes. Well, what are they? Well, we do this and we do that, and basically, unless it's having them throw rocks at cars up from the top of freeways, it's good. We don't, we want them to be engaged with the youth of their community in a positive way, and we're not evaluating the strength of the program. We're just asking if they're trying. Does that make sense? And you have to kind of pin it down, because their yes might be something that happened 5 years ago. And so a lot of times, well, when did you do that? Oh, well, that happens in every November. Okay, good, check. Active military support programs, such as adopting a military unit in your area, sending care packages downrange, anything. And that, with a little more flexibility, because there's not always a unit near you that's being deployed, or this, that, and the other. But do they try? Do they have situations where they are greeting people, veterans, our military service members when they return on plane flights and stuff like that? And anything like that, of that nature. Was that? Patriot Guard was a good example that was just said. Another thing is active Americanism, patriotism programs. And that is basically, are they doing things in their community that engage their community by going out and speaking at schools like we talked about, that doing flag education? Are they putting up flags on important days in the graveyards? Are they actively engaged in promoting patriotism and Americanism in their community? And if the answer is yes, well, there you go. And the last one is active community participation. Do they participate in parades? Do they have a fundraiser where they sell tickets to the community? I wasn't a stickler about what it is. It's like, what do you do to engage your community? And are you doing anything? Because some people will be like, no, we don't do anything. Are you sure? Do you do this? No. What about this? No. Okay. It is what it is. Now, I'm not asking everyone if you agree completely with all the 10 criteria. And I'm sure that if I asked, like last time I talked about this, someone says, what about karaoke? What about a half star for that? And I'm all, I want to do it, but I don't think, not everyone's going to think that this program or that program is going to rate. Other people are like, what about color guard? Well, most all their programs you could do fit into one of the categories that we're talking about. And because we only can have 10 criteria, we had to be kind of selective with what we chose as being the greatest indicators of overall activity. You have a question in the back?
I know you're using this to help people select a post, but we have a district commander's guide and whatever, a book on that. I think this might be good criteria, not used necessarily just to recruit members, but might be a good criteria document for district or parish commanders to evaluate the posts in their districts, so therefore that they could help with a revitalization process.
Absolutely. And that is the point that I'm trying to make, is the byproduct of this is something that was created exactly specifically as a recruitment tool, has turned into something that has greater legs and has greater ability to help us as Legionnaires than just that one use. For example, David and I have talked about, as we go through the next time that we go through that manual as well as the post operations guide and stuff like that, is incorporating this as a self-evaluation tool for the post, but also as a key component. And this is one of the reasons that a lot of the department adjutants like this, is by having their district officers go through and communicate with their posts and get this information from their posts. They, as district officers, can identify where the issues are in their district, and that communication can start between the department and the district level about, okay, what's the plan? And when I say what's the plan, is a lot of times there's education that needs to be occurring that isn't. Okay? But everyone's, oh, everything's, no one wants to look bad, so everyone's, oh, everything's going great. But here, take out the white piece of paper. Okay? This one? You guys can. Okay. When I called the, and by the way, I talked to Greg about this first, and I asked his permission. Do I have your permission to talk to the district commander and to talk to the adjutants and commanders of the post of the 21st District in Jefferson County there near Birmingham? And he said, absolutely. Okay. So, because I'm kind of scatterbrained, if I write notes all over the place, I'll realize I asked only 10 of the questions I need to ask, and I'll have to go back, call them again. And getting a hold of people sometimes is tough, as you well know, from people who've been involved at the district level. So I filled out this information. If you notice the last 10 things here, the yes, no's, they go toward their point rating. Everything else is just gathering just information, right? And by the way, I'd also go on Facebook myself and look. I'd also go on and Google the post and everything, trying to get as much information as I could at my end before I even called. Does that make sense? Okay. Who here has served as an officer at the district level? Okay. What would be the benefit? I mean, we already kind of talked about it a little bit, but in your mind, would this be a valuable tool for you, and why? Go ahead. Yes? Because you nodded your head, so yeah, I got to make you talk.
As a district commander, it will allow me to review the posts and make sure that they're operating the way that they say that they are.
Right. And you notice that this thing is, a lot of times posts get reputations that aren't necessarily based on reality. And every once in a while, you need to do a double check. You need to go, hey, is this happening in your post? And because in your mind, go, oh, they don't have any youth activities. Because I remember when I first did this for 11th District in Indiana, I had the district officers give me the lowdown where all the bodies were buried in the district. But what they said didn't match what the posts were self-professing to be doing. And so a lot of times we get these institutional rumors that continue year after year regarding posts that aren't necessarily accurate and create a lot of hard feelings. Am I right? I mean, we all heard it before, oh, don't do that to such post because they don't even care. And that person hasn't talked to anyone such and such post in 3 years. Okay? Yes, question in the back.
I'd like to, sorry about that. Would it be too late to add, a lot of people always want to know if it's an open or closed post, so that question's asked an awful lot before they decide where they're going to go.
You're going to have to explain to me what an open or closed post is so I can help answer
Members only.
Okay.
If you've got a lounge area, so to speak.
Well,
and there's both, even in Austin, Texas. It goes both ways.
Here's the thing. There is, I'll get you in a second, Greg. Every state has different rules, and a lot of it comes from the Alcoholic Beverage Control, or the Excise Board, or this and that and the other, regarding who can be in there, especially if there's alcohol being served and this and that and the other. But if you notice that here, none of these 10 criteria have anything to do about whether or not you serve alcohol. None. None. It doesn't matter. And the point is that, again, I owned a bar for 15 years, so I'm not a teetotaler standing here, but we have to somehow realize that our lounges, if we have them, are an aspect of the social engagement we have for our members, not the focus of the entire post. And our programs and the 4 pillars need to return to be what we're focused on, and the lounge is a side product event rather than all the decisions in the post being made because of what works for the 4 people that hang out there all day long. Am I? If I'm lying, I'm dying, right? Okay. And so I understand where you're coming from, but we kind of wanted to kind of stay away from that because it brings up the question is, well, open for what? Because if they didn't have a bar, it wouldn't be an issue, right? Okay. I don't know. And how... But by a show of hands, who think, and I'm not trying to like, oh, this is what they say and you're wrong, or this is what they say and you're right. I just want to notice this feedback because I've never had this issue before. How many people think that this would be something that would be an issue to be considered? Okay. Well, then in your areas, you probably need to be considering that with the criteria. Greg, do you have anything to add?
You hit the nail on the head. The form was tried to be as generic as possible. So you didn't want to put anything that could be specific to any kind of department on the form, so it was a standardized rating across the American Legion. And you hit on it already.
Right. Okay.
But that was, Paul talked to me a lot on a lot of the questions on what we was trying to come up with since he was using Alabama as a test. And we asked the questions, and they just didn't come out of the air. A lot of the questions, that's why I went and grabbed one so I could tell you what page. If you look at page 26 in the officer's guide, there's a self-assessment tool in there that covers like 90% of these questions. So it didn't just come from nothing.
I'll tell you what, I'm all about stealing good ideas to make better ones. I feel no need to recreate a wheel. The American Legion is producing a great product. We just need to modify these weapons so we can use them more effectively, right? Yes, sir. Wait, can we get the microphone over here?
I don't need it. What's your definition of post-membership bylaw restrictions? You're not talking about eligibility dates.
Yes, I am, because, not eligibility dates, but there's some posts, like for example, in Indianapolis, there's a police post where you have to be a law enforcement officer or a member of the courts. They also have medical and dentist professionals only. There is also a female post. Well, no, because they have designed what's called basically as a niche post. But if someone's trying to pick which post they want to be, and it doesn't, maybe the name might not say that, but they need to know that McIlvaney Coth is only for medical professionals before they even want to go there, and even it might be the closest post to them, but it's probably not the most appropriate for them if they drive tractors. I'm making that up. Okay, but you kind of, and that's what it says, and that's why I ask is like, and 90% say no, no, there's not. Okay, great, but I have to ask because not everyone has their bylaws at the department. You know, a lot of times you can get that information from the department, but not everyone does, right? I mean, it's an imperfect system in a perfect world, right? Okay, does that kind of get what we're talking about here? Okay, I'm going to move on just because there's a lot of stuff I want to get to. Okay, now, what we want to do eventually is create a system. And again, when I say eventually, this may be 9 months away, it may be 3 years, okay? Until this comes online, you can contact me or other people in membership, and if you think this would be the most effective way to do a revitalization or a membership transfer recruitment in your area, we can do it, but you're not going to be able to do it the way that this happy little way I'm going to describe right here. But this is the direction we're going because we're all about producing what for UV? That's right. Okay. Now, hold on. When we mail out to a district, there are people who are active and members of the headquarters post of either that department or other departments living in those zip codes, right? So let's put them in one category. Okay. There are people who are expired from your department HQ post or other departments' HQ posts living in those zip codes, right? So we need to go take those, back, and put them in. You got to remember, you're talking about, this is different than doing it for just your post. You're talking about a district-wide thing, okay? So it's different. Just hold on. It's the same categories, but now, well, hold on. I swear it will make a little more sense in just a second. Now, there's people that live in the zip codes of Jefferson County who are expired, but their last post was outside the 21st district. You get that? They either moved there, or maybe they were members, but they're like, it's an hour away. I'm not going to drive there anymore. I'm just going to quit, right? So they're another category. The final category is the people who used to be members of posts in your district, still live in the district, but are expired. But here's the thing. Maybe the reason they quit is because they don't like Joe Blow, who's the commander of that post, and they think he's a moron, right? It happens. Wouldn't it be better to get them and find them a place where there might be a good fit for them? Rather than them thinking the only way they could be a legionnaire is to deal with Joe Blow? And by you encouraging them, they might check that box and move on. Okay. Now, so eventually we're going to be able to get a point where you can put in all this information, like you can go, okay, we have post blah, 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 and enter in all the information for each of those posts here, and it will self-generate and send to you a PDF that looks like this. Okay? And then it will generate a electronic file that will send to you in four different files with 4 different letters produced. Does that make sense? Because, well, here's the thing. Do you want to? I did, but that was for an individual post. This is for a district. You're doing a district-wide mailing, trying to encourage people to go into all the posts in your district. I'm sorry, the question is?
Why would the district commander want to do that?
Because you want to give people options about which posts they can join, because they're not aware of all the posts in their area. And so this is a way to educate them. They can choose. Let's give a microphone over here.
Yes, the main reason is we've all done, or pretty much everybody here has done a revitalization, right? In my opinion and several other esteemed colleagues' opinions, what has worked well within certain districts is we have that complete compilation of all the posts available. And you give them options so that they can make the right fit for themselves. Because if they don't want to be a non-smoking post and there's one 3 miles away, that member needs to know that, because they may not know that option is there until we present it. And when you do present it, then they can now make a well-informed decision to become, once again, an active participant legionnaire.
So you, the district commander's going to produce
No, it's a
No, but we're
district
going
project.
to use this tool to help us with our revitalizations.
Now, the district commander or whoever has access to the porthole has to enter the information so the sheet can be generated and everything. It's not going to, you're not going to press a button and walk away and have it happen. You're going to have to input the data through yes, no's, and typing stuff in so it can get generated, because you guys are the boots on the ground. You know why post such and such is named after Woody Woodpecker. I don't. You guys are going to be able to put that information in. Now, remember, the previous letters come out from one post and return to one post, okay? These letters are more likely have to be basically district-driven, and they probably need to come back to a centralized location so you can evaluate the effectiveness on it, and then get the last sheet to the post that actually has a member, and they follow the vetting process and everything that they need to do in voting that member in as a part of the process of that person coming to the post. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, well, I can explain it to you tomorrow if you'd like. I can talk to you about it tomorrow.
I'm lost on that one.
Okay. Well, I think probably by the end of the day, you're going to understand a little bit more about what we're going to about what we're doing here. Also, one thing we're trying to do, and isn't available yet, is to get a one-page printed MDF form, because we don't have that yet, which means in the process of what we're going to do today, we're going to have to handwrite them, which I'm trying to find the right word. Sucks. And it's time-consuming. But we're working toward creating an avenue where, for all the members that you're mailing out to in those 4 different categories, we're able to produce a one-page MDF that we can use for this thing that they can sign and send back to you and get turned in. Does that? Okay. Now, Greg, can you kind of help me out? Like, I called you up and you said, what's this crazy guy from National calling me for? Why don't you kind of take it from here for a little bit?
First of all, if you can't tell, I had to wait for a break in service before I could even tell him, hey, I don't even know who you are, man. But anyway, when he called, he said, we need a district that's in one county. Well, I only have one district in Alabama that's in one county. It's Jefferson County in Birmingham, which is one of our higher density areas out of the 4 major density areas we have in Alabama, which I know in Texas y'all have a lot bigger density for veterans. Alabama's, we're spread out a little bit further. Small densities, high impact areas. But in that district, we have 16 posts and 2,042 members at the end of the 2016 year. That is our heavy post. That's where a lot of activities are done in District 21 through the posts. I'm not saying the rest of the state ain't doing it, but it's a good test bed for what Paul was wanting to get accomplished. We compiled the mailing information using the zip codes in Jefferson County. I sent him all the zip codes.
Yeah.
He gets the 1,725 total mail pieces. And these were just the numbers to break out, and everybody can read it, so I'm not the kind of guy to read every line on the slide. But what we had to do first is contact the district commander. Ron Bradstreet told Ron what's going on, say, hey, you're going to get a crazy guy from National calling you here in a minute. Be prepared. Tell him to say break every now and then so you can catch up with him. But Ron said, absolutely. So this sounds like a great idea. So after Ron talked to Paul, we had to determine 2 things. Ron was tasked with calling all the posts in the district and saying, hey, if a member checks this block that they want to transfer, will you accept them? And he had them sign a little sheet. I got it at the department, so if we got anybody that ever makes a complaint, well, we didn't vet them. I go, well, they just said they'd take them. It's their responsibility. And then second,
and let me just add, you're responsible to take him, but also by taking him, it's your responsibility to vet him.
Bingo.
Okay.
But on the other side of that, every post had to provide an action officer. So any of these members that transfer in, this action officer is responsible for welcoming them into the post. So what's happened in the past during the revitalizations is we call them and say, hey, how you doing? It's great to hear from you. We need to get you transferred into the post, get you active, transfer them, and then that's it. Nobody does a follow through. So the 2 things that I put on Ron was to contact the post and make sure they take them, because they didn't go on that list unless they said yes. And the second was to provide the action officer to welcome these veterans.
How did you as department adjutant react to this type of thing after thinking about it for a little bit?
We was on board.
Okay.
I think it's a good tool. And I've got the theory, I was an aircraft mechanic. The only tool that never does anything is what?
One you don't use.
The one that sits in the toolbox
Right.
wasting away.
Right.
And you can be the world's best mechanic, but with an empty toolbox, you ain't doing crap.
Right.
So, and I tell this to my members all the time, says you got to keep updating your tools. You can't fix an aircraft with a sledgehammer from the 1930s. It just ain't going to work. Well, on a Chinook it will, but.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate that. Now, I want to put this up here. The 16 posts, they finished last year with 2,042 members, okay? And they had strong district leadership, and I appreciate that because I knew that some work was going to get done, and we weren't just shoving members down a dark hole and watching them die, right? But here's some interesting things when I ran the numbers. I found that there are a total of 1,725 people that we can contact here. That's pretty amazing when you consider that last year they ended up the year with only 2,042. But they had 1,725 people who have been connected with the American Legion within the last 3 or 4 years living in that county. This is low-hanging fruit. Now, let me tell you, nothing replaces you going up to your neighbor and your friend, or the person you go to church with, or the person you work with, and go, hey, I know you served this and that and the other. Let me talk to you about why I'm a member of the American Legion. I think you need to join too. Nothing is more effective than that. So don't let me think that this is a tool that's going to replace face-to-face, hand-in-hand. I want to help you out because I believe in my fellow veteran type of conversations, okay? But they're there. They're there. 846 active members, active in their dues, are living in this county that are not attached to a local post. 846. If you look at that, that's more than a third. That's almost 40%. That's 40% of that entire post, our district's numbers. Okay? 413 are expired post, and that's from expired, meaning they're 2014, 2015, just from those 2 years, 413 on the active age course post expired. Which means, and by the way, that's the second most likely group that you're going to be able to draw from. Okay, lowest group, 47 people are living in Jefferson County who used to belong to posts outside of the district. Well, that's a pretty low number. But I got to tell you, folks, if this is happening in your district, there's some work that needs to be done. And I'm not trying to be mean to Alabama. I'm just trying to keep it real with you. If you have 25% of your membership that has quit over a 2-year period, and yet isn't deceased, yes.
We've done a lot of studies and put together a lot of data using a lot of these numbers. And just to throw some data on it statewide, my membership finished at 17,752 last year. I pulled the number, got Joe Gallagher to send me the expired list for the last 3 years, 8,432. So over half of my membership expired in 3 years.
Yep.
Well, I looked at the numbers, it's like the 413 expired, 76% of those are under 3 years.
Okay.
And everybody goes, well, our membership is dying. Actually, our death rate in Alabama has steadily been decreasing. Last year was 2.6, this year we're at 2.3. So you take those numbers and everybody's excuses go out the window.
I would guess that the engagement has gone down, not necessarily the membership. Okay. Now, let me continue on here. Remember I said 30%, right? Okay. So who can quickly tell me what would be 30% of 1725? Was that? Yeah, about 450. I mean, a little bit over that. Maybe 500. Let's. Okay. Okay. If you increased the membership of this district, and maybe that membership numbers might not show up this year, by 500 members, next year in 2017, what would that district grow by? What of an increase would that be? That'd be a 25% increase. Who here wouldn't like to see that? I mean, yes, sir, in the back.
You know, I've worked membership for years, and it's true that you can get the low-hanging fruit, you know, but when I see numbers, I don't know what your goal was, Mr. Adjutant, for this district last year, but the catch of it is, it's great that we go put this low-hanging fruit.
Uh-huh.
That's like easy, that's just a temporary fix in my opinion.
Absolutely, and I'll cover that in a second too.
Okay.
Yeah.
But also we say we'll increase our membership by 25%. That's assuming we're going to keep everybody we've got.
Yes.
So therefore, you may take that 25% and reduce that by half. We lose about 12 to 15% of membership every year due to things that we can't control.
But I will tell you this, what I found is by doing this and with followed up with an active engagement program, About 1 in every 8 of these transfers bring a friend, a relative, or someone else with them.
Oh, I agree with that.
Okay.
But my main point is, from a membership standpoint, national, we lost 67,000, as of November, the 1st, we've lost 67,000. We lose about 67,000 members a year.
Well, this isn't going to solve the American Legion's problem with membership, but it is going to give you guys the energy and the synergy and the new volunteers to engage them and create more energy to get more members who aren't currently engaged in the
But
Legion.
my point is,
Right.
my point is, we've become lazy. We've depended on national to go out and recruit these people, and in the interim, all of our members, our good active members, are going out the back door. We need to close the back door and use those tools that you're discussing and others discussing. We've got to
Absolutely.
give these people purpose of being a member of the American Legion.
Absolutely, but we're spending $6 million a year to get these DMS lists. We got to at least be capturing these, and we got to be engaging them before they turn into this 413 number. Do you kind of see what I'm saying? Okay, so what did I do? Well, I used that piece of paper. I talked to the post adjutant commanders. If I couldn't get a hold of them, I just started calling members of the post, hoping I can get a hold of someone who was informed, because a lot of people are like, oh, so-and-so hasn't been adjutant for 3 years. Okay, well, talk to somebody else. Okay, I needed to compose letters, and by the way, I have them up here. Right here's all the active letters, and you'll have more than an opportunity to see them later, so we need to get into it now. Here's the expired HQ, here's the outside, and here is the expired from the inside, okay? Develop the post-selection page. You guys are seeing it right there. Has been developed. Print components of the letter. Okay. With the fact that there were 2,000 or 1,700 something, I printed out 2,000. Why did I print out extra? In case you make a mistake, and also it allows you to give those copies to either the department adjutant or to other people at districts, so that later on, when they're calling, they have the information right in front of them. Does that make sense? Okay, whoa, that's crazy. The 4 letters, I produced 10% more than the number needed because I'm likely to make a mistake. Okay. It's very important, and by the way, you'll find out why, because I didn't do it, that you create a sent envelope, which is the one you're sending to them, and that you use self-sealing. Why is that important? Okay. Because you don't want to lick them, but I got glue, we're good. Okay. Now, what's missing from this page? You have the return up here, and on the bottom it says address correction requested in small letters. What's missing here? Their address. Which do you think would be better, to print out labels and put that on, or handwrite it? Why? Someone stand up and say. Someone who hasn't spoken before. Raise your hand if you haven't spoken before. Yep, there you go.
It's a personal invitation to them.
Outstanding. I don't know about you, but if I see all that stuff that shows up that's on labels, that's the last thing I look at. Maybe I'll look at it a month from now, right? But someone, especially if it's old hand-scrawled with my handwriting, they're going to go, what kindergartner wrote this? It's got to be something good. It's for kindergartners. They're going to open it up because a human being took the time to write their name on it, because it doesn't happen anymore. Okay? Yes?
You know, another thing that we found in the Department of Texas that
Uh-huh.
works really well is when you have these letters and they're pre-printed out, that we sign the letters in a color contrasting ink so that they'll see that it is a handwritten signature and not a computer-generated signature.
Absolutely. I think that's very good advice. And if you can and you have the guts, sit down and put ink to paper yourself. And if you could do it over a 3-day period while watching TV, and you got the fire in your belly to make an impact on that person, because you know what? To a lot of people, it won't make a difference, but to that one person it will. Okay? And we're trying to access veterans who think that the American Legion is too big to help them, or too big to care about them. Greg?
On that note, with the personal contact, personal information letter, just to give you some more tools in the toolbox, I put out 100 YUs that just had my contact information on the back, and that was it. And I put out 100 YUs that had a letter from me inside of it, just folded it up and put it in there and signed it. And then when I put it I put it under the wiper blades of cars in Walmart, Target, wherever, the reason I put it in there was a senior license plate or a sticker or something on their vehicle. I said, thank you for your service. I noticed your sticker on your vehicle. Out of the 100 that I laid out with just contact information, and that was it on it, I got 5 returned.
Nice.
The 100 that I laid out with the letter on it with a little personal touch, 40. So it works.
Okay. Good point. Now, this is the return envelope, and it's a number 9. Number 9s fit inside of number 10s, okay? But yet they still will hold a regular piece of paper. Does that make sense? Okay, that's why you want to get number 9. And these, because they're smaller and you don't have to fold them up to make them fit inside the other envelope. Okay, I printed out 1,800 of these, and this just has a return envelope of where I want them to go, and they're going to Ron Bradstreet's address because I want him to manage the return on it. Because if these just show up to a post, some of these posts, based upon their rating, they may not even do anything with them, right? I want to have the district actively engaged in creating success in their district here. Okay. Now, right now, we don't have single MDS, but wouldn't that be great if we had a big stack of them, like all printed out already? But we don't. And you know what that means? That means it's going to take 60 man-hours to create those MDFs, because it takes about 2 minutes on average to fill out an MDF. The reason I know this, Okay, then you know this as well. I will also tell you it takes another 60 man-hours to do the rest of the stuff, which is the folding and the this and that, the other, the handwriting on the outside. So altogether, there's 120 man-hours. Now, if you're asking someone who's a district commander to put in 120 man-hours to do it, is that realistic? No. But guess what? How many people we got here? About 60. So guess what? You guys are learned by practical practice. I went to Cal Poly in California. We learned by doing. Okay? So we're going to learn by doing, and it's going to take us 2 hours, and you're going to hate me. But by the time of this thing, you're going to know this program backwards, forwards, and there's not going to be any crinkles in the forehead. You'll be like, yeah, I got it. Oh, I got it. Okay?
Well, it didn't make sense, but when you have one county, that makes sense.
Well, regardless, if you have a district, you can just grab the zip codes for the different, that incorporate that district. Well, I'm sure it doesn't go into Mexico. I'm pretty sure. Okay, well, I'm sure you can get a list of all the zip codes in it, right? Okay, so things you need for that workday. You need 5 to 10 highlighter pens. Why? Because after people fill out the information that's available, you need to highlight the missing information plus the line where they sign. You need enough ink pens. By the way, I got this many, but I got 60 ink pens. I'm pretty sure that most of you brought your own. But, anytime you're dealing with volunteers, you got to make sure that you don't have expectations, right? Because when you assume, what happens? You make a what out of something and something, but please don't bring me into it. Okay. Now, here's my suggestion, like if you didn't have the glue sticks like I found the other night, because I went out looking for sponges last night because I need to create a solution here. Is use glue sticks, use whatever to close those things up. I made a huge mistake by not ordering self-adhering things, and I'll take that hit, and so it just shows you I'm a human being. Okay. No, I'm going to use glue stick. And volunteers, bodies equate directly to output. Okay, for example, we have 60 bodies here. Since we have 122 man-hours to do, how long should it take this group? 2 hours. If half of you go, I ain't doing that, and take off, that leaves 30, how long is it going to take those people? So if you don't return after the break, you're basically blue falconing everybody, right? Right? So bodies equate directly to output. This isn't difficult work, but it does take time to produce the product. Okay. Choose a productive workspace. Long tables work best to create assembly line style, but others will work too. Have enough space to move around and have assistants to help push the line. If that doesn't make sense, it will make sense once we do it, and you'll be like, oh, I get it. Provide fluids and foods that motivate volunteers. Yeah, you're not getting that tonight. But I would suggest to you with your districts that you do this, that you do look after them because you want them to do it again. And don't beat them up. Like if you recognize that you don't have enough people to do the job, don't try to do the entire mailing. Just get like the active ones out. Okay? And do one letter at a time. That way if you go, wow, this ain't happening, you don't need to crucify your volunteers and make them regret ever showing up because you called them, right? Okay. Have adequate restroom facilities. We got that, so that's good. Okay. So after we take a break, we're going to take a 10-minute break, but we're going to come back here and do this. Does that make sense? Okay. And everyone's going to raise your hand if you're coming back because I'll hunt you down. I know where you're staying. Okay. And I got that sword. Okay. Okay. Now, the work assembly stations. Use mailing lists. And what I've done is I've created these mailing lists that have 22 names and information on them in bigger print so you can read them easily for you to fill out the MDFs. Okay? You're going to highlight the missing information and the signature line MDF. You're going to handwrite the member's address on the number 10 that we talked about. And then you're going to take the number 10 that's filled out with that thing, and you're going to take the MDF and you're going to take it and you're going to fold it like this and keep it together. Why? Thank you, Greg. Yeah, I would think that would be a very simple concept, but believe me, in the past, by not overlooking and stressing that point, I've created a lot of drama and I had to reopen about 20 or 30 letters to take an MDF out of there that did not match what was on the outside envelope. All right? So, then you fold the MDF and the PSP, which is the post-selection page, and letter in a trifold, and we'll demonstrate that. Insert with a number 9 envelope into number 10, seal number 10, affix stamps or make other arrangements. The arrangements we made is, hey, Greg, you're going to put this through your machine and mail them out, right? And he said, yep. Okay. Okay, so very quickly, I'm going to end it with a very cool graphic thing, which is obviously much better than I can produce, as you've seen before demonstrated. But we have new members, right? Everyone likes new members. New members are like new babies. Everyone's, oh, that's a new member. That's a new member. Isn't that great? But here's the problem. Now what? Okay, we were talking about that earlier. New members come with responsibility, just like babies. Everyone wants to see a new baby, but no one wants to clean up the poopy, right? Like, hey, that's great. Hey, you pooped. Someone else take care of it now, okay? We have to remember that new members need to be educated if you expect them to be actively engaged in your post. If you think that they are going to magically find a way to go online and take the online American Legion Extension Institute course and they're going to self-educate themselves, I mean, who believes that's going to happen? I mean, there's people out there, there's freaks, trust me, but they are few and far between. Okay, so I came with this acronym: recruit, engage, assimilate, and retain. Okay, you need to rear your members. Okay? Okay, that guy right there, that was probably a week after he raised his hand and said, I promise to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, yada, 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 yada. Okay, I had the uniform on, and technically, I was a member of the military, wasn't I? But was I a warrior? Was I the type of person that you would want to send into a combat situation with the expectation of living longer than 20 seconds? Absolutely not. Now later that person became a little more battle-hardened, okay? But that's because he was trained. And that's because he had people along the way that put their boot where it needed to go every once in a while. And they trained me and developed me so that I could be an asset to the unit I was with, okay? We forget that in American Legion, that we need to approach this the same way that we assimilated new members. And just because someone's been through basic training doesn't mean they know how to do their job when they show up to your unit, right? It starts from the beginning, doesn't it? Okay? So what do? How do we engage new members? Have an orientation program. Have an initiation meeting. If nothing else, have a mentor program. Have 5 experienced members of the post who are willing to take on between 3 and 5 members every 6 months and just call them up and invite them to things. However you guys do it, but have a mentor, someone that they can ask dumb questions to, like, well, what's this, the breaking colors thing? I don't get it. Why is everyone so caught up with breaking the colors? I mean, we make, sometimes the American Legion, we make a bigger deal about someone breaking colors than we are about making them feel comfortable at a meeting, okay? We need to work just as hard at making someone feel comfortable. Okay, give them a free meal, recognize them often, thank them for joining. Okay, assimilating members. Now, this guy here, he's not necessarily going, the guy shows up, he transfers your post, how many here showed up and 2 weeks later they were like nominated to be commander or some crazy silliness like that? Okay. While that might have worked for you, the majority of the time that's going to make the majority of people run for the hills and never come back because they're taking on too big of a piece of elephant and they're ready to digest. Start out small. Hey, can you help out with the barbecue this weekend? We have a guy who can't make it. Can you help out? Just not the other. When he does the job, hey, thanks. That was great. When she does the job, really appreciate you doing that. Really appreciate the fact that you helped us out. They're going to feel good. They're going to want to do it again. Okay, then over time, you give them more responsibility. Hey, Bob, who heads up the 3rd barbecue of the month, he's getting older and want to step down. You've been doing this for quite a while, helping out. You think you can take over his chair of the 3rd week barbecue? Oh, okay, yeah, I think I could do that. And pretty soon you have that person hooked in and part of team leadership, okay? Everyone here in this room is where they're at right now because you believe at some time you drank the right Kool-Aid, okay? If you never give that person Kool-Aid or a chance to understand why this is so valuable to you, they're never going to make it valuable for them. You have to bring people along. Okay, retain members. We usually think about retaining members about when they pay their check, right? And a lot of times, unfortunately, we in the American Legion look at membership as being numbers. Well, what percentage point are you at? Are you at this? Oh, well, good for you. You're 110%. We'll give you something for your hat. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I'm going to challenge you that membership needs to be about taking care of your members and the veterans in your community. Okay? And we need to stop looking at it as when they renew. Okay? Because if you just look at the times where they pay their check, that'd be like me inviting you over to my house and saying, hey, come on over for dinner. I'll feed you. And you're like, well, okay, I don't know Paul that well, but I'll show up and I give you 2 pieces of toast. And I go, here you go. How often are you going to come back? You're not. You're going to quit. Because no one wants to eat toast for dinner. It's not nourishing enough. It's the stuff in the middle that matters. Okay? If you focus on engaging and assimilating your members and developing them as members and focus your membership on taking care of your members, you could have, it doesn't matter what type of bread you're using. People wouldn't be complaining about $5 in dues going up if they had value in what they were getting from the experience. Okay, if I'm lying, I'm dying. Okay, so I'm almost done here. So that's the end of my presentation. But we have to look at what we're providing members. So when you get these new members, you have to engage them. Okay?